Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Planet B podcast. Today is episode 5, and the title is House on Fire. Dr. Rao, House on Fire. That's quite a chapter title. Where would you like to start with this?
We have to act as if our house is on fire. And it's like you have to set your life on fire and seek those who fan your flames. That's what Rumi said. And that's the quote I use to begin the chapter. It's like we have to become that enthusiastic firefighters for the planet. So when our house is on fire, we abandon our daily routines and do whatever it takes to put out the fire. And that's the kind of urgency that we need to have today to address what's happening to the life support systems of our planet.
How does that statement, House on Fire, and us being the firefighters and the guardians of Mother Earth, how does that relate to the current situation? What actions should we take to take on that role as guardian?
I ask people to use the analogy of our house on fire. Suppose your house is on fire. What would you do? You would not be looking for cream on your coffee. You would not be looking for breakfast. You would be looking for the nearest bucket and how to load that bucket up with water so you can put it on the fire and put out the fire. So you change your daily routines. You change your routines, you reorganize yourself to become a bucket brigade to put out the fire. And so that's the framing I want people to think about. This is why I use the house on fire as an analogy for what is going on. And fortunately for me, my house did catch fire. So I kind of understand because it caught fire and I know what happened to me, how my perspectives changed, when the house caught fire. I was most interested in the life that was in the house, my children, as opposed to the things I had accumulated. So I didn't go looking for my things to save. When my house caught fire, I was looking for just my children.
So take us through that. It's for people who read chapter 5, some of the story is in the book, but it really highlights how you had a realization about the Planet A systems and then why we need to shift to this new Planet B perspective. So maybe share a little bit about what happened that day in 1993, I believe.
Yeah, 1993. We had just moved into a new home. It had been custom built for us. And we were just there for a month, I think. We still had boxes in the garage. And I had bought a brand new car and I parked it in my garage. And the next morning, the car caught fire. And we didn't know. I didn't know that. I was in the kitchen talking to a colleague of mine. And my son came running out saying, "Dad, there's smoke coming out of the vents." I told him the heater just came on. It was in fall in New Jersey. So don't worry about it. It'll go away. And he came out running again saying, "Dad, there's black smoke coming out of the vents." And this time I paid attention because my phone went dead. So I ran to the room that they were in, which was above the garage, and I saw black smoke coming out. So I ran downstairs to the garage, opened the door, and the car was spitting flames at me. So I immediately shut the door and hit the alarm, grabbed my children and ran out because I knew that anything could happen if the car is on fire. And the policeman came to put out the fire before the fire engine came. The policeman had come and he took pictures. So I still have pictures from the policeman's camera. Right?
Wow.
And the firefighters came and put out the fire. Then I called the dealer who had sold me the car and said, "What the heck did he sell me? This car caught fire." Yeah,
Brand new.
brand new. And the dealer said, "Oh my God, it happened to you."
That's
And
probably not what you wanted to hear right away.
right, because apparently that car had an issue, a manufacturing defect that causes it to spontaneously combust. Okay? And my car was the 8th car that caught fire. And so the dealer gave me the number of an engineer to talk to, and that engineer had been studying this problem. And they knew what the fix was. The fix was to put a plastic sleeve around a fuel line. It costs $1.
Wow.
But to get to the fuel line, it costs $100 in labor. So totally it's like $101. And they're already sold like 10 million cars. 10,000 cars, yeah, in the US alone. So it would cost like $1 million to solve the problem. But headquarters wanted to wait for 10 cars to catch fire before they declare it as the real problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then solve it, right? Mine was the 8th car that caught fire. So within a month, or maybe 2 months after my car caught fire, they issued a recall on the car to fix that problem. But the way the manufacturer dealt with it opened my eyes to how things happen on planet A. They knew there was a problem. They were fixing it in the lab. They were trying to figure out how to solve it in the lab. But they'd already given the product out to customers. And they keep quiet about that, because if they told you that there's a problem, we are working on it, everybody would return the car. Nobody would buy the car again, right? So they would have no choice but to fix it. But then they will be out $1 million. What if there was really no problem? What if it was just a lab problem? So there is all these calculations that happen with bean counters, figuring out what is the right action to do. And someone decided 10 cars should catch fire before we issue a recall. Until then, we keep quiet about it.
Right.
So there is this secrecy built into the system. There is this, this is my intellectual property, that's your intellectual property. There's all these divisions that happen within humanity. So we don't have an openness in our systems. So we have privacy for large corporations, and they want to know exactly what we are thinking. So there is individual transparency that they build in to the system. So that's how Planet A works.
All right. And then also on that, it shows the financial. It shows that when they were doing the bean counting, they weighed the financial more than, sadly, a potential life or house or livelihood of a family. To the financial would outweigh that. Right.
Yeah. So they wound up paying more than the $1 million, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
Because they wound up paying for rebuilding my home. They wound up paying for recalling the cars and fixing all of them. So if you look at the overall cost to the company, it was way more than what they started off thinking it would cost. So if they had been open about it and done it, it would have been less cost for them. Right? But in hindsight.
All right. And then the professor, I think that's one of the funniest parts about the whole story is the university professor that came to check out the problem.
Yeah. They sent a professor to check out the problem. And I was watching the professor, and he was going around looking at everything except the car.
Oh shit, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah. So I went to him and I said, "Professor, why are you looking at all these other things?" When I spoke to the engineer, and he explained to me how the car caught fire, and that mine was the 8th car that caught fire. And the professor was very upset. He went to his people and he said, "How can I do my job? This guy knows everything." And his job was to come up with an alternate explanation for the fire. And this is typical of how disputes are resolved in the system on planet A. Every side assumes that their main role is to protect their side, as opposed to find the truth. Right. So everybody is trying to come up with explanations that would make their side come out on top compared to the other side. So it's all in oppositional. It's all in competition, as opposed to collaborating to figure out what really happened, and therefore how do we really solve the problem. Now, we do the second part on planet B, the planet B part of collaborating to solve problems, when we are in the same company. Right? So when you're in the company, you're working together, then you're open with each other and you're figuring out how to solve problems together. But between companies and between the corporation and the public, there is this secrecy, this wall of secrecy built in. And this professor's job was to figure out an alternate explanation for the fire. And he came up with something, and then he involved the heating company. The heating company had to go find their own engineers to come and argue that it was not their heater that caused the problem. And so there's so much waste that I saw happening in the system because of this oppositional approach to solving problems.
So how would this have been solved on planet B? So for instance, someone unfortunately got a car, there was an issue with the car, it started a fire.
Right.
How would you see this turned upside down?
I would say that every corporation has to be open source on planet B. So meaning if they find a problem, they should post it on the internet so everybody sees that there is a problem. And they could say, here's the probability that this problem could cause fires. And here is the cost of repairing it. If you would like it to be repaired, we'll do it right away. So meaning the process has to be open source. So imagine that all corporations are non-profit corporations who have to be, and they're posting everything on the website as they find it, right? So people are building products, but they are being open with what the product could do or what could not do. And people, then the customers who are using the product, have the ability to look through it and say, okay, I want this recall to happen right away on mine. I don't want to take a chance. And there is no fault finding. There's no, say, it's your fault that this happened. Everybody takes responsibility for their own actions.
Yeah. And even if things were open source, the problem would have probably been fixed even before getting to the public, because if other people were cross-checking the blueprints and the design, they probably would have found the flaw before the first car set on fire.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the fuel line was routed too close to the windshield washer heater. That was the main issue. And the windshield washer heater was always on. And the fuel line, if it had any leaks, the fuel vapors would accumulate around the heater and eventually ignite. And that's how the fires start within the car. And someone else would have found it. Yeah, you're right.
So going back to the vision of the house on fire, so we have to, hopefully we'll feel that our house is on fire with Mother Earth because of the environmental issues that are taking place. And then now you've seen what's by living that experience, what that actually feels like. How do we implement that feeling into our daily lives with what's going on the planet in 2026?
Yeah, we have to have that sense of urgency to repair the life support systems of the planet and to maintain a living planet. Okay, you have to have that sense of urgency. You don't want to wait until systems die or systems collapse. For instance, if the life support systems start collapsing, it could be that your food production just suddenly goes, plummets, or your oxygen in the atmosphere suddenly plummets. Things like that. You don't want to wait until such massive drastic changes happen to the life support systems, and then say, how do I fix it?
Right.
Right? When the signals are there from nature, this is the time to do it urgently. We are already seeing that the earth is overheating. Okay? The last 3 years have been the hottest years ever. And if you look at the average of the last 3 years, it's 1.5 degrees. So we have exceeded the 1.5 degrees that the Paris Agreement said that we will never exceed. Okay? And so,
Right.
and as it is, we are seeing, the beginning of the year in 2025, we had these horrendous wildfires in California, and a lot of rich homes got burned down. Right? Now, the rich people may have insurance, and therefore it doesn't matter to them. But it tells you that this kind of disruption can happen to anybody. Okay?
Right.
And so that's, these are just symptoms of potential catastrophic failure. It's like you got a heart attack, but you still survived. That doesn't
Right.
mean you can ignore and say, okay, I can keep doing what I'm doing until my next heart attack happens.
Right. And I think one of the really important quotes in this chapter is you talk about at this point in time, because of the critical period that we're in, it's like you wouldn't just kind of let your sister go about doing things the way that they've always done. Like you have to or should notify them about this issue, educate them, and try to get them out of the house and part of the solution as fast as you can. So how does this relate to this Planet B concept in veganism?
Yeah, the analogy I use is if your house is on fire and your sister is in the next room and she's not aware that the house is on fire, would you not tell her? Would you tell her, let her find out for herself? Or would you actively go around telling everybody in the house is on fire, the house is on fire?
Right.
Right? I'd say you would do the latter. Now, I know that our planet is on fire. This is why I'm spending all my time trying to tell people, hey, the planet's on fire. I don't know when it's going to get out of control. As a systems engineer, I don't know. All I know is that today, if we all go vegan, it'll be like putting water on the fire, on every aspect of that fire. So we would, and then once we go vegan, we can figure out whether the fire has already gone out of control or not. Until then, we don't even know that fire has already gone out of control. Now, I'm 66 years old, okay? And I'm living the 23rd year of my bonus years on this planet, because when I was born, my life expectancy was 42. Or 24th year of my bonus years now. So I don't mind dying. But I don't want you all, everybody, to die. I don't want that to be my legacy as an engineer. This is what we did. We destroyed a planet.
Yeah.
That's not what I want my legacy to be, right? I want all of us, in fact, I'm appealing to all of my engineering colleagues to come together and rebuild the human engineered systems on the planet so that they are in alignment with the life support systems of the planet. Because right now the human engineered systems are in conflict with the life support systems of the planet. Okay? And it doesn't have to be. We can easily design systems that are all in alignment with the life support systems. And
Yeah.
that's the Planet B solution that we are talking about. Because rather than stressing the life support systems further and further because we don't want to change our human engineered systems, I'd say it's easier to change the human engineered systems to be in alignment with the life support systems and not look for solutions on Mars after we have stressed it to the point of no return.
Right. So people who are part of this Planet B, world peace, social justice movement, do you think it's important for them to go out and share this Planet B message?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want everybody to go and tell their friends and family that the situation is dire on the planet, and our billionaires are talking about going to Mars or the moon. But instead of doing that, Planet B is a systems engineering solution, a framework for re-engineering the human engineered systems on the planet so that they are in alignment with the life support systems. And we need to be doing that instead. Okay?
Right.
And that requires us to address the foundational issues in the system, rebuild the system on axioms that we know to be true. Because we inherited these systems. We didn't really build all of them ourselves. We inherited them and we just carried along. And at some point you say whatever we inherited was built on false foundations.
Right.
So that means that we have to redesign them from scratch. And our generation gets the chance to do it.
It's such an exciting time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such an exciting time in the world.
Absolutely, it is. It is, because it is bringing this earth back, meaning the earth is getting browner and browner year by year. If I look at the satellite picture of the earth, it breaks my heart. The earth is getting browner and browner instead of greener and greener. So eventually, this is why the billionaires want to go to Mars or the moon, because they know it's going to become a brown earth at some point, completely brown. And I'd say, let's make the earth greener and greener year by year, and we can engineer that to happen.
Yeah, that's beautiful. For people who are part of the Planet B solution, who may feel shy or uncomfortable to talk about the core of the solution, which is veganism, how do you suggest they get involved or approach people or become more familiar with talking about these concepts?
Well, get yourself familiar with the basic science and the data on land use, data on how much protein is there in plant foods and so on, so that when people ask you questions, you're ready with the answer, right? And then you can tell them, I've done this. I've already become healthier and healthier. So it's also important for vegans to become healthy.
Right.
And we'll go into all of that. We have to become the best ambassadors for Planet B.
Leading by example.
Leading by example, yeah. Because it's only when people see you having so much energy and you are glowing when you're working on this, they'll say, I want to be like this guy. I want to do that.
Yeah, it's true. There is vibrant, healthy people who are on a plant-based diet. There is an energy about them that seems undeniable.
Right. And I think it mainly comes from putting the right fuel in our bodies, whole food, plant-based meals, and then exercising regularly and, maintaining your health. Okay, maintaining your health. So I started going on this upward spiral in my health. Beginning when I went vegan, because I lost all my arthritic pains and, I suddenly felt like a 16-year-old again. And then over time, I transitioned more and more to a whole food plant-based way of living. And I do my exercises regularly. I do my yoga and my meditation every day. And this allows me to present this aura of well-being on the planet. So as human beings get healthier and healthier, you will automatically see the planet get healthier and healthier. Because we will be going around and helping everyone, helping the planet, helping the animals, and helping Mother Earth recover.
Which goes back to the slogan for PlanetB.now and for Climate Healers, which is transform yourself, transform our planet, transform our world.
Yeah, transform yourself, transform our world. And it works both ways. So as you work to transform our world, you'll be transforming yourself. As you transform yourself, you'll be transforming our world. So it works both ways.
And that's what's so cool and exciting about this Planet B movement as well, is because when you gather the people together that are vibrant, that are energized through plant-based foods, through wanting to solve the climate crisis, the energy it can't be stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. It cannot be stopped. But there is a system around it. That's the other thing I want to emphasize, is that you have to address the system that is making us become more and more diseased over time, right? And that system is built on all these planetary myths. And so we have to create systems built on axioms for us to solve our problems.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So as we close out episode 5, Our House on Fire, Dr. Rao, is there anything that you'd like to share as some closing words?
Fire is always a metaphor for transformation. So please look at it from that perspective, that we are transforming ourselves. Transform yourself, transform our world. And I use the word transform as opposed to change because of what Tracy Martin said. Change is inevitable, but transformation is intentional.
That's beautiful. Dr. Rao, thank you so much. And next episode, we talk about the 9 planetary boundaries, and the title is Our Planetary Home on Fire.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where we've always done it this way has lost their job. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.